Hi everyone, I'm here today to talk about a 1975 science fiction thriller action film called Death Race 2000. I watched it on this DVD that I picked up for cheap. Okay. Now, I had seen Death Race 2000, I'm going to say something like 30 years ago. And I don't really remember anything about it except that I didn't care for it much. And that's the whole crux of what I'm going to talk about here. I want to talk about the movie, but also in this video, in addition to like a review and my feelings on the movie, I want to talk about something else which kind of merits its own video. It's a topic that you could do for a video all separately, and that's basically how, if you're not in the right mood for a movie one time and then you watch a movie a second time, it can be better than it was the first time, or worse, or different somehow. Okay, I watched this movie with my friend. My friend and I got together one afternoon. He wanted to see it. He saw that I just picked it up recently at a shop. So let's do it. We put it on. He liked the movie. He hadn't seen it in a while. So, first of all, this movie was produced by Roger Corman. He's the genius that could use a very cheap budget and make a fun movie with almost nothing, which was pretty impressive back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s mostly. And it's directed not by, I have information here, I just want to check. It's directed by Paul Bartel, although it's produced by Roger Corman. And this was a movie that was similar to Rollerball with James Caan, only this particular movie, Death Race 2000, has a much more comical, dark humor type aspect to it. Now, this is based on a short story called The Racer that came out in 1956 by Ib Melchior. Now, the idea was from Corman mainly was to make a movie that maybe had comedy in it, and it could be kind of light and breezy and silly and offbeat dark humor, but at the same time there could be moments in here that are really very explicitly gory and maybe a moment of shock. So you have that mixed in here. Now, when I first watched this movie recently with my friend, I was kind of tired. Most of what I was watching, I didn't even really concentrate on it. I don't know if you've ever had that kind of experience where maybe you're just feeling kind of like blah, and you watch a movie and it's almost like the effect of your eyes are on the screen, but it's almost like if somebody waved a hand in front of your face like this. Anybody home? And you're not really honed in on it. Also, maybe a few times I nodded off a little bit, so it wasn't really a proper watch. But I know when the movie was over, I said to him, and during the movie, I said, "Man, this thing sucks. Oh, this sucks. This movie, it's so bad." And which I'm not saying this is a good movie. It's not. It is bad, but is it bad, or so bad it's fun, or good? That's the question. The first time I was all ready, I said, I'm going to review this movie. I'm going to give it a total bomb. I'm going to give it 0 out of 4 stars because it was so unappealing the first time. But then I gave it another thought that night, and I said, I really wasn't really receptive to it. So what I did was I watched the entire movie that night again. This time I had subtitles on the bottom so I could understand some stuff that maybe I missed the first time or couldn't hear or just glossed past me. And I also watched it with Roger Corman's audio commentary. He does an audio commentary on here along with one of the actors in here. I forget which one it is. Mary Warrenov, I believe, plays Calamity Jane in this, one of the drivers. But anyhow, and all of a sudden I had an appreciation for the movie. To hear Roger Corman talk about what he was trying to accomplish, and to see scenes there that I somehow missed. I must have nodded off a couple of times, or questions I had that didn't make any sense were answered. I mean, the first time I watched this, I had questions, and I realized I really wasn't focused. It's not fair. You can't judge a movie unless you're really focused on it, right? All right, well, let me tell you a little bit about the story itself. Death Race 2000, made in 75, takes place 25 years in the future. It's funny because as I'm reviewing this movie, this is now 2025. So this Death Race 2000, when it originally came out, was supposed to be 25 years in the future. Now, Death Race 2000, the events of the movie are now 25 years in the past. And right from the beginning, I want to say that's something I hate when they do that in science fiction movies, when they put a date on it, a year. They date the movie to the point where if you're making a movie Death Race 2000 and now we're in 2025, it's now dated. It's old. It's not futuristic anymore. Why not call a movie like this Death Race Future? Death Race of the Future, or something like that, and say that it takes place 25 or 50 years from now, whatever it is, but don't give a year specifically, because then it kind of ruins it. So this has a bunch of drivers in there, race drivers. Now, starting off, we have the main star, David Carradine, who was just fresh off his TV series Kung Fu, and who wanted to start making movies. He wanted to get more into the movie consciousness. So he stars as a driver named Frankenstein, who is supposedly stitched up, and some parts of him robotic and rebuilt over past races, because this is a race that is done every single year in a dystopian future. The government has created what's called the Transcontinental Road Race, where a group of drivers, they race across the country in high-powered cars and really funky-looking designs. And it's gotten to a point in the future where, surprise, surprise, the people are very desensitized, and they love violence and gore and death and killing. And the pedestrians that are on the road during this is an event held once a year. If you happen to be out on the road, and why in the world would anybody be out on the road? If you know there's this thing called the death race every year, why would you be out on the road? But if these speeding cars that are racing together happen to come across a pedestrian, they'll run them over and kill them, and they get extra points. And there's the gore factor. And there was some nicely, for the time, 1975, some nicely presented gore moments of death on the roads. So there's a whole bunch of different scenarios, and different people, pedestrians, are worth different points. I mean, old people, 75 and over, are worth 100 points if you kill them on the road. There's even a scene where somebody appears to run over a baby, which, of course, I don't want to ruin too much of the movie, but it turns out not to be the case. It was a plant. It's not a real baby. It's not a real baby in the movie, but this is the idea that the drivers are headed by, as I say, Frankenstein, played by Carradine, who is a hero. He's a national hero. He's even got his own fan club. There's people that have a Frankenstein fan club. He's the real favorite. He wins. He's the big champion that they have to beat every year. In second place every year seems to be Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone is playing, I forget the name, Machine Gun Joe Viterbo, who's a Chicago gangster type. Then you have, and this is one of Stallone's early movies after The Lords of Flatbush from 1974. This is like one of his first movies with a full part. You have Calamity Jane, who is like a cowgirl type. She's driving another car. Then you have somebody called Matilda the Hun, who's a neo-Nazi. And you have somebody called Nero the Hero, who's like a Roman gladiator type. And there's a little animosity between Sylvester Stallone's character Joe against Carradine's Frankenstein, because they've had clashes in the past and so forth. Now, the thing is, there's a resistance group, and they're really against the races, obviously, and they want to sabotage the race. So during the course of this movie, they have tricks. They have detour signs that kind of lead you off a cliff. They have landmines that if you run over, the cars run over the landmines, they blow up. And they do other things to try to put a stop to this. These horrible death race games, which you could understand, they're against. Now, that's the gist of it. But I got to say, when I'm watching the movie the first time, it turned out that a lot of this went over my head. I remember saying, for example, well, I don't understand. This is cross-country race that starts at one point, I think New York, and goes all the way to Los Angeles. It goes. These guys drive all the way through, and they have a really obnoxious news reporter that's on there. Hey, now you see what they're doing. They just scored another point. He ran over somebody's head. How great! That'll score him 50 more points. It's the whole thing is tongue-in-cheek, completely over the top, ridiculous, but also weirdly effective on my second viewing of it, because I should mention that too. After I watched it the first time, I didn't get anything out of it. Then I watched it with the Roger Corman commentary and appreciated it. Then a third time, the next day after, I watched the whole thing again in the day with subtitles. And I think now I'm going to watch movies with subtitles because it helps me pick up on things that I missed. For example, one of the questions I had was during this race where the cars are all driving miles and hundreds of miles away, and I'm asking myself, how could anybody follow the race if they run somebody over and score points? How do you know it? I mean, is this thing covered on TV? I missed the first time without paying attention. They say when I watched it, especially on the subtitles, I could see it. There are satellites. It's satellite coverage that brings it right into your own television in your own home, so you can see every step of the way by satellite everywhere they go. Every pedestrian they mow down, everything they do is on TV live via satellite. I missed that detail the first time. Also, I was wondering, there were scenes in here the first time I watched it I didn't understand, where after they're racing, then the whole team of all these drivers are socializing together, having dinner somewhere or lunch at a place. I'm like, what are they all doing together? When did this happen? Is this a flashback? And then I'm watching them again. They're getting a massage at a massage parlor, all these characters. And I'm thinking, when did this happen? I was so out of it the first time, I had no business watching a movie. By the second commentary time, and by the third repeat viewing time, I realized it's plain, duh. This race takes place over like days. This is not just one. This doesn't take place over a few hours, a couple hours. This is a race that takes place over days. They take a break, they sleep, they eat, they get a massage, they come back the next day. I didn't catch any of that. So anyway, what can I say about the movie? The movie, after all this, it's not a good movie. It's not. But you know what? Once I really was invested in it, and I realized what they were going for, the offbeat dark humor and the general idea, it's a generally good idea. This is a very good idea. It's just badly made. I mean, the acting is not great, and the direction is not great either. But I got to tell you, there's something about this that's a novel, kind of fun thing. It's one of those movies that's so bad it's good, I guess. Once I really got into it. As I say, some of the gore stuff is well done for its day. It's an interesting contrast between the shock moments and the gore, serious moments, and all the kidding that goes on through the whole thing. So I had fun with this thing after the first time. Wow. So Death Race 2000, which has been remade, by the way. I have not seen the remake. I have no need or desire to see the remake, which, would have been better if they called it Death Race of the Future and you didn't give you a year. That would have been a lot better. But on a scale of 4 stars, I'm prepared to now give Death Race 2000 of 1975, wow, I'm going to give it 2 stars. I almost want to give it 2.5 because of the extra fun factor, but taking parts away for what it lacks. But I'll give it 2 out of 4, which is not, when I give a movie 2 out of 4, by the way, that is not a bad rating. That is still fair. It's considered fair and worth at least one watch.